Rudd and Albanese are two peas in a pod. They've never done anything but support each other. Do you think that this attempt to get this kind of attention, get Rudd's ear, who in turn will get Albanese's ear, will work and we'll finally see some action in this space?
They say in politics always back self-interest. It's the only horse you know that's really trying. And I think Anthony Albanese is getting the message. I think he understands now how serious he certainly would have after his visit to the synagogue earlier today.
5 days late, but better
late than never. And I think he understands how seriously threatened and genuinely scared Jews in Australia feel. This is something they have been shouting from the rooftops and I've been trying to convey as well. But that I think there is the Simon Wiesenthal Centre is obviously a centre that is completely and utterly focused on anti-Semitism, found in the wake of the horrors of the Holocaust and Nazi Germany. And I think when people say, "Oh, we condemn all forms of, sexism, racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia," and conflate all these things into the one basket, there is only one of those groups where there have been throughout human history by Christians, by Nazis, by people basically right across the globe, and especially in Western Europe and Asia and Northern Africa and the Middle East. There is only one group of people who, for thousands and thousands of years, has been deliberately targeted, purged from countries, from nation states, time and time again, whether it be Morocco, whether it be Elizabethan England, whether it be Nazi Germany and the Eastern European countries that it colonised and conquered. And I don't think you can understand what is going through the heads of the Jewish community without understanding that less than a century ago, in living memory for some people, 80 years ago, there were millions and millions and millions of people who were dedicated just to wiping them out, just to wiping them from the face of the planet. Now, there are plenty of other people who have experienced suppression. There have been other genocides elsewhere in the world, but we have never, ever seen anything of that scale in all of human history. And I dare say there has never been a more continuous push, a more continuous pattern of pogroms, be it from Stalin's Russia, be it from the Tsar's Russia, be it from the Nazis, be it from medieval states and early modern states in Western Europe. These people have been genocided, for want of a better word. People have been trying to wipe this people out, Jews out, for thousands and thousands of years, and the Nazis came incredibly close. I think it was something like close to a third of all the Jews on the planet. And so when you're talking about Israel and just having one place where they can actually feel safe, or whether you're talking about not being able to leave their homes, not being able to go to the Opera House to their own memorial service, their own day of mourning, that sets off some pretty major red flags. Yeah. And I think you cannot understand what is happening in Australia and fully appreciate what it means, not just for the Jewish community, but for all of us, without understanding that we are about to embark on a road that, starts with a Roman rubbelisation of Israel 2,000 years ago, continues with medieval practices of, killing Jews if they didn't convert, expelling them from entire countries. And there is a thread that goes right up to Nazi Germany and the industrial scale extermination of 6 million souls, men, women, children, as though they were animals. And that happened in the middle of the 20th century. And we've got to get our heads around that, or we will not understand what is happening.
I was in Israel a few years ago and I went to the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah,
I mean, you could spend hours there. Yep. But I really didn't get past the first exhibit, which was a series of videos from people who had lived through the Holocaust. And what struck me was so many of them talked about how they remember sitting at the family dining room table and Mum would be saying, "We need to get out of here, we need to get out of here." And Dad would be saying, no, it's not going to be that bad.
That's right.
It's just a few little things, but it's going to be okay. Sure, they closed our business. Sure, they've got us to wear the yellow star or whatever, but it's... And many of them talked about the fact that they wish they'd listened to their instinct and gotten out. Yep. The families would have survived. Others said they were glad that they had listened and got out. And so I think what you're saying is very true. And I've spoken to Jewish families here in Sydney who are having those exact same discussions now, saying it's in living memory that we were talking about it's not that bad, surely it won't get worse. And yet we're watching over 14 months things get worse and worse. For this Jewish human rights organisation, which is very well respected, for the first time in their history to say to Jews around the world, don't go to Australia unless it's essential travel, is just astonishing. I mean, who amongst us ever thought that such a warning would be issued for Australia? I was reading in the Times of Israel that the number of apartments being purchased, this was just for the month of September, by people outside of Israel wanting to move back there, was up 119% on September in the previous year. And these were Jews from around the world who figured, you know what, it's actually safer to live in Israel, where we're surrounded by armies committed to our destruction, than it is for us to live in many places around the West, where we're not sure if we can even trust our neighbours or supposedly democratic elected governments who are supposed to keep us safe.